What we're witnessing right now is nothing short of extraordinary. A massive winter storm is stretching approximately 1,800 to 2,000 miles across the United States, spanning from New Mexico all the way to Maine. This is the kind of sprawling, multi-hazard event that meteorologists talk about for years afterward. The dangerously cold air settling in behind this system will persist for at least the next 7 days, and we're already seeing signals of yet another potential winter storm developing as we approach next Friday. When you look at the current hazard map, you're seeing something genuinely rare. A single storm system with warnings and advisories covering almost the entire state of Texas, all of Oklahoma, and extending into the Deep South, including Louisiana and Southeast Texas under ice storm warnings. Those warnings continue northward through the Atlanta region, into Kentucky, and all the way into West Virginia. Winter storm warnings blanket the Mid-Atlantic, and watches are posted as far north as Maine. This is the type of expansive, coast-to-coast winter event that happens perhaps once or twice in a generation. By the way, if you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, please leave them in the comments. I'll answer them individually as time allows. Also, if you like the video and subscribe to my channel, you'd be very grateful. Now let's move on. Think back to the legendary winter of 2013 when Winter Storm Nemo buried the Northeast under feet of snow. Connecticut set a 24-hour snowfall record of 36 inches. Boston picked up nearly 25 inches. Hurricane-force wind gusts exceeding 80 miles per hour accompanied the heavy snow. That storm affected over 25 million people. What's developing right now rivals that in scope, and in some ways, the cold air component actually exceeds what we experienced in 2013. Then came the polar vortex winter of 2013 to 2014, which delivered the infamous Atlanta Snowmageddon, where just 2.6 inches of snow paralyzed the entire metro because temperatures in the mid-20s turned wet snow into ice immediately. The Arctic air mass accompanying this storm is the real deal. Temperature anomalies are running 20, 30, and in some locations, nearly 35 degrees below average. By the time you wake up Monday morning, approximately 91% of the continental United States will be at or below freezing. The upper-level load driving this system is so massive that the hurricane hunters actually flew multiple reconnaissance missions into it to gather atmospheric data. That's an unusual step that speaks to how seriously meteorologists are taking this event. Tonight represents the most dynamic window of this storm. The entire state of Texas is below freezing, with some form of winter weather warning in effect statewide. When you see extreme cold warnings in the Rio Grande Valley, you know you're dealing with something exceptional. The last time Texas experienced something comparable was during the devastating February 2021 Arctic outbreak. Oklahoma faces the brunt of the heavy snow, with Oklahoma City looking at 6 to 12 inches total and the potential to approach the all-time single-storm record of 13.5 inches. Tulsa expects similar totals. Convective banding will produce extremely heavy snowfall rates across the Panhandle, much of Oklahoma, into Missouri, and through Illinois, with rates spiking to 2 or 3 inches per hour. Kansas City picks up another 2 to 4 inches, bringing storm totals into the 6 to 10 inch range. Texas presents a complex precipitation mosaic. The Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex expects 1 to 3 inches of snow and sleet with significant ice accretion. Closer to the Red River, 3 to 5 inches of snow is possible. The Panhandle adds 4 to 6 additional inches. The lower Mississippi Valley faces the most dangerous ice storm conditions. Ice storm warnings cover a corridor from southeastern Texas through Louisiana, Mississippi, and western Tennessee. Ice accretion could reach 3/4 of an inch in the hardest hit areas, with some spots potentially seeing a full inch on power lines and tree branches. Memphis sits in a complex transition zone, expecting a mix of snow, sleet, and freezing rain with a 1/4 inch or more of ice. Combined with lows dropping to single digits by Monday morning, power outages could last days to weeks. The Mississippi Delta faces the most severe ice accumulations, with northern Mississippi, including Tupelo and Oxford, potentially seeing ice totals approaching an inch, rivaling the February 1994 ice storm that devastated this region. Little Rock deals with a true mixed bag. Northwestern Arkansas, including Fayetteville, sees predominantly snow with 4 to 6 inches possible. Central and southern Arkansas gets glacier-like conditions from the combination of snow, sleet, and freezing rain. Nashville sits in the heart of the ice zone, expecting several inches of snow and sleet with over half an inch of freezing rain on top. Columbia, Tennessee could see 0.6 of an inch of ice. Atlanta faces its most significant ice event since February 2014. Ice storm warnings are in effect for the metro area, the first such warnings in over a decade. Accumulations of 1/4 to ½ inch of ice will create widespread power outages. Northern suburbs could see even higher totals, approaching 3/4 of an inch. During the 2014 ice storm that followed Snowmageddon, hundreds of thousands lost power for days, with some waiting up to 2 weeks for restoration. This setup carries similar potential. The Carolinas face an extensive ice and mixed precipitation event. Charlotte expects around ½ an inch of freezing rain, causing significant impacts, including power outages and impossible travel. Raleigh-Durham sees 1/4 to ½ inch. Greenville-Spartanburg sits in one of the worst ice corridors with ½ an inch to 3/4 of an inch expected, and some upslope locations potentially seeing an inch. Hendersonville and areas south of Asheville could see catastrophic accumulations. Northern Georgia outside Atlanta could see 0.8 of an inch in locations like Gainesville. Athens expects ½ an inch. Richmond expects 3 to 5 inches of snow and sleet falling rapidly before mixing begins. Blacksburg and Roanoke could see 5 to 6 inches of snow before any mixing occurs. Kentucky sees northern and western portions receiving 4 to 6 inches or more, with Lexington expecting 7 to 12 inches. Louisville could approach 15 inches in favored locations. The Mid-Atlantic faces significant snowfall totals. Washington, D.C. expects 4 to 9 inches. Baltimore sees similar totals. Western Maryland, including Cumberland and Hagerstown, sits in the heavier snow zone with 8 to 15 inches possible. Pennsylvania receives widespread heavy snow, with Philadelphia expecting 5 to 8 inches, Harrisburg and State College seeing 8 to 12 inches, and the Central Mountains approaching 15 inches. Pittsburgh expects 6 to 10 inches. Trenton expects 6 to 9 inches. The Northeast faces a legitimate blizzard scenario as the low intensifies off the coast and transitions into a classic nor'easter. New York City currently expects around 10 inches. Long Island sees 8 to 12 inches. Southern Connecticut could exceed a foot. The Catskills have potential for 2 feet. Buffalo expects 10 to 13 inches. Albany expects a foot. Boston is looking at 12 to 16 inches, making this the biggest snowstorm in several years. During the blizzard of 2013, Boston recorded 24.9 inches, the 5th highest single storm total in city history. Hartford could exceed a foot. Providence expects 10 to 14 inches. Vermont and New Hampshire see widespread double-digit totals. The cold following this storm represents record-breaking territory. Sunday morning brings minimum temperatures that will challenge or break 11 records. Seeing single-digit readings in Oklahoma is exceptional. Corpus Christi dropping to 26 tells you how powerful this Arctic front is. Monday morning takes things to another level as the true Arctic air settles in. Negative numbers are showing up in Texas, which is extremely rare. Forecasters project approximately 45 record low temperatures will be set or tied across the central and eastern United States. Whatever precipitation falls, whether snow, sleet, or freezing rain, it's going to stay on the ground. There won't be any significant melting for at least a week. The 2013-2014 winter featured a similar persistent cold pattern where snow that fell in January didn't fully melt until well into February. Both the GFS and European ensemble models are coming together on another surge of Arctic air arriving around Friday, January 30th or Saturday, January 31st. This would reinforce the cold already in place and potentially bring another round of winter precipitation. When both major ensemble systems agree this far out, confidence increases significantly. A potential storm track would bring it up the eastern seaboard, affecting the Carolinas, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast, with another round of snow to end next weekend. The winter of 2013-2014 featured 27 significant winter storms, tracked from November through May. What we're experiencing now features a more expansive geographic footprint. The ice storm component affecting the South is more severe than 2013. The cold air is comparable to the polar vortex events of 2014, and we're potentially looking at a multi-storm pattern extending through the end of January. This is an all-hands-on-deck winter event. Power outages will be widespread and long-lasting in the ice zones. Travel will be impossible across huge swaths of the country. The cold persists for at least a week. If you're in the impact zone, your preparation window has closed. Stay off the roads unless absolutely necessary. Have supplies to shelter in place for several days.